In the news this week, positive amendments are proposed for the Scottish hate crime bill. A former Director of Education hits out at the Welsh Government's plans for more atheism in RE. And as deaths attributed to COVID exceed 100,000, the Archbishops of Canterbury and York call on the nation to pray. Hello. The Scottish Government has proposed a number of amendments to improve its controversial hate crime bill. Among other positive changes, Justice Secretary Humza Yousaf formally tabled a new free speech clause on the issue of transgenderism to ensure that behaviour or material is not to be taken to be threatening or abusive solely on the basis that it involves or includes discussion or criticism of matters relating to transgender identity. Following pressure, Mr Yousaf also proposed an amendment which will strengthen the religious free speech clause. The Christian Institute's Kieran Kelly said these changes go some way towards allaying concerns that people have about the stirring up hatred offences. A former Director of Education has hit out at the Welsh Government's plan to force schools to teach humanism and atheism alongside religious views in RE lessons. Gareth Jones, who worked as a teacher and head teacher before being made the Director of Education for Ceredigion, told the Christian Institute that he has lots of concerns about the new bill being debated in the Senedd.
This type of curriculum, this type of envisaging of religion, ethics and values, and including humanist standpoints, will push Christianity again further onto the periphery, so that the Christian heritage of our country will be in danger of being lost altogether.
LGBT activists are calling for a former politician to be sacked from a public role after he shared a man's Christian testimony on social media. Nelson McCausland, who sits on the board of the Northern Ireland Education Authority, shared the story of Beckett Cook, who gave up his homosexual lifestyle when he became a Christian. Mr McCausland, a former DUP minister, was accused of promoting conversion therapy practices, despite Mr Cook's testimony referring only to prayer and pastoral support. Mr Cook himself responded to the controversy by saying, "I have never had conversion therapy, nor would I. I'm happy to be single and celibate." Despite this, a petition to have McCausland removed from his post has reached over 2,000 signatures. The Institute's Simon Calvert said the uproar demonstrates that those pushing for a conversion therapy ban are actually trying to silence Christians.
Government ministers who support outlawing conversion therapy have to realise that what activists have in mind is not just outlawing inhumane pseudo-medical quackery. Clearly, for some of them, what they have in mind is effectively making it illegal to share the gospel with a gay person. There's a reason why they've chosen the term conversion therapy, and I think it's because it's not primarily therapy they're after, but Christian conversion itself. So if governments are going to introduce laws against conversion therapy, they're going to have to be very careful indeed to make sure that activists like these can't use the law to damage the ordinary everyday work of churches of preaching, praying for people and pastoring them.
And finally, the Archbishops of Canterbury and York have asked people to call on God in prayer in response to the coronavirus death toll. Justin Welby and Stephen Cottrell have asked the country to set aside time at 6 p.m. each day to pause, reflect and pray for themselves and for others, starting from the 1st of February. They urged people to cast their fears on God, adding, "One thing we can all do is pray." They praised the hope inspired by good neighbours, health workers and the vaccine, but concluded, "Most of all, we have hope because God raised Jesus from the dead. This is the Christian hope that we will be celebrating at Easter. Death doesn't have the last word. In God's kingdom, every tear will be wiped away." Well, that's all for this week. For more information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.